Welcome to Kiss and Chapters, where every story begins with a spark and ends with a swoon. If you love heart-fluttering romances, unexpected twists, and characters you'll root for, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so I can keep bringing you more sweet, emotional, and unforgettable stories. Let's fall in love with every chapter, together. Chapter 1. New Girl Meets Ice Prince. If someone had told me that transferring to Westbridge Academy would feel like stepping into a drama series, I wouldn't have believed them. But on my very first day as I stood in the school courtyard clutching my map and schedule, I already felt like the main character of a fish-out-of-water story. This place is huge, I muttered to myself, spinning in a slow circle. Students in neat uniforms streamed past me like I was just a rock in a river. It wasn't until I reached the second-floor hallway of Class 3B that I realized something was strange. The hallway was buzzing with chatter, but one stretch of lockers was suspiciously quiet. A few students stood at a distance, whispering behind their hands. I followed their gaze and froze. A boy stood there, leaning against the lockers like he owned the place. The sharp jawline, black hair falling perfectly over his forehead, and a pair of cold, piercing eyes that swept over the hallway like a winter storm. I swallowed. "Who is that?" I whispered to a girl nearby. She gasped like I'd just said Voldemort's name. "You don't know? That's Damon Wu." Oh. The name sounded familiar from orientation. "Is he popular?" "Popular," she almost choked. "He's the Ice Prince. Top of the class, perfect at everything, terrifying to approach. He's untouchable." Untouchable, huh? I don't know if it was my nerves or my incurable curiosity, but the more she said don't approach him, the more I wanted to. The bell rang and I slipped into Class 3B, scanning for my assigned seat. My heart leapt into my throat when I realized I was seated directly behind Damon Wu. Oh no. He was already there, resting his chin on his hand, eyes fixed out the window. A cold aura radiated around him, and the seat beside him was completely empty, as if no one dared to get too close. I took a deep breath and sat down. My chair squeaked against the floor, earning me a single fleeting glance from him. Those dark eyes locked on me for half a second. And then he looked away like I was as interesting as a dust particle. Whoa. I felt my pride crumble a little. "Hi," I whispered, trying to be friendly. No reply. "I'm Rose. I just transferred today. Please take care of me." I added a small bow even though he wasn't looking. "Nothing." I bit my lip. "Okay, challenge accepted, Ice Prince." By lunchtime I had already learned two things about Damon Wu. 1. He never talks unless absolutely necessary. 2. Everyone in school is low-key terrified of him. Even the teacher hesitated before calling on him to read a passage, and when he did, his deep, calm voice sent a shiver down the class's spine. I, on the other hand, was still determined. When I spotted him sitting alone under a tree at lunch, reading a book, I took a deep breath and marched toward him. "Hi again," I chirped, holding my bento box like a peace offering. He didn't look up. "What? Mind if I eat here? Everywhere else is crowded." A long pause. Then the faintest shrug. I plopped down on the grass beside him, ignoring the gasps from students passing by. I could practically hear them thinking, "She's crazy. She's going to die." So, I started between bites. "You like reading?" Silence. "What's your favorite book?" More silence. I chewed my rice and narrowed my eyes at him. You could at least say one word to the new girl. Otherwise, people might think you're..." He finally looked at me. "Annoying." I blinked. "Huh. You're loud," he said flatly, then returned to his book. A normal person would be offended, but my lips twitched into a smile. "I'll take that as progress," I said cheerfully. For a split second I swore I saw the corner of his mouth twitch. Just a tiny fraction, but enough to make my heart skip. I didn't know it yet, but that tiny crack in his icy armor was the start of everything. Chapter 2. Breaking the ice, or trying to. By my second day at Westbridge Academy, I had already developed a new hobby. No, it wasn't joining a club, exploring the library, or making new friends. It was Operation Melt the Ice Prince. "Rose," Sophie hissed, yanking on my sleeve as we walked to class. "I'm telling you, if you keep pestering Damon Wu, you're going to end up frozen. Or expelled. Or both." Sophie was my first official friend at this school. Chatty, dramatic, and apparently a Damon Wu survival expert. I grinned. He's not that scary. She stopped dead in the hallway and stared at me like I had grown two heads. Not scary? Rose, yesterday he called you annoying. That's basically a death sentence from him. Well, I said cheerfully, he didn't tell me to go away. That's progress. Sophie groaned and muttered something about writing my will. When I entered the classroom, Damon was already in his usual seat, chin propped on his hand, staring out the window like the main character of a tragic novel. I slid into my chair behind him. Good morning. I chirped. He didn't move. Did you sleep well? Eat breakfast. Silence. Do you like omelets? His head turned slightly and one cold, piercing eye met mine. Do you ever stop talking? I leaned forward on my desk, beaming. Not really. He exhaled slowly, almost like he was giving up. By lunchtime I had prepared phase 2 of my operation, snack diplomacy. I approached Damon's usual tree in the courtyard with a small packet of cookies in hand. Hi, I said, crouching in front of him. I brought you something. His gaze flicked to the cookies, then to my face. Why? Because food makes people happy. And happy people are nicer, I said with a wink. He stared at me for 3 full seconds, then muttered, I don't like sweets. I blinked. Then what do you like? Quiet. But I wasn't giving up. Well, you can't eat quiet, so cookies it is. I placed the packet on his book and plopped down beside him. He didn't touch it, but he didn't throw it away either. I counted that as another win. The next day I borrowed a pen from him during class. Or I tried to. Hey Damon, can I borrow a pen? Mine ran out of ink, I whispered. He didn't even look at me. Damon. Still nothing. Sighing dramatically, I reached toward his pencil case. The moment my fingers brushed it, his hand shot out lightning fast to stop me. I froze, eyes wide. His hand was warm, firm, and completely wrapped around my wrist. Don't touch my stuff, he said softly, but with the kind of quiet threat that sent chills down my spine. I gulped. Hey. Noted. He let go and I slumped back in my seat. But then a moment later a black pen slid across my desk. I looked up. Damon was staring straight at the chalkboard like nothing happened. My heart did a weird little flip. After school, Sophie practically dragged me aside. Did he touch you? She demanded, eyes sparkling with gossip. He just stopped me from taking his pen, I said, cheeks warm. Rose. Do you understand what this means? That he hates me? No. That he's interacting with you, she squealed. That's basically a miracle. You're like the first person in years he's acknowledged more than twice. I blinked, thinking about the pen sliding across my desk and the warmth of his hand. Maybe Operation Melt the Ice Prince was working after all. That night as I flopped onto my bed, I stared at the ceiling and grinned. He might still be cold, sharp, and terrifying to everyone else. But I had seen a tiny crack in his icy armor. And I wasn't planning to stop anytime soon. Chapter 3, Accidental Partners. If there was one thing I had learned in my first week at Westbridge Academy, it was that fate had a twisted sense of humor. All right, class. Mr. Huang, our homeroom teacher, announced with too much energy for a Monday morning. We're starting our history project today. Pair work. Random assignments. A chorus of groans filled the room. I perked up, curious. Please let me get Sophie. Please let me get Sophie. Mr. Huang started pulling names from his little box. One by one, pairs were called out. Sophie got paired with some guy from the front row. I gave her a thumbs up. Then it happened. Rose Lee and Damon Wu. I froze. My pencil dropped to the floor. The class went silent. Then a wave of whispers rippled through the room. The new girl. With the Ice Prince. She's doomed. Rip. I turned slowly toward Damon. His head was still propped on his hand, but his eyes flicked toward me, cold, unreadable. Was that a twitch in his eyebrow? Or glare? We ended up at a corner table in the library that afternoon, textbooks spread out between us. Okay, I said, trying to sound professional. We're covering the Tang Dynasty. We could split the research and do it yourself, he interrupted, flipping a page in his book. I blinked. Excuse me. I work better alone. Yeah, well, it's a pair project. If you don't participate, we both fail, I said, crossing my arms. And I, Rose Lee, do not fail. He finally looked at me, his dark eyes like cold glass. Then don't drag me down. I forced a sweet smile. Hey Ice Prince. How about this? I'll start the outline and you can, I don't know, sit there and look intimidating until you decide to help. He stared at me for a long moment. You're annoying. I know, I said cheerfully and started writing. An hour later something miraculous happened. I was scribbling down notes about trade along the Silk Road when a neatly written paragraph slid across the table toward me. I blinked. What's this? Notes, Damon said without looking up. I scanned them. His handwriting was perfect. Sharp, clean, and precise. These are really good, I said honestly. Wow, you could be a professional note-taker. Or a calligrapher. Or, I don't know, a famous academic with handwriting fan clubs. He gave me a flat look. Do you ever stop talking? Not really. I grinned. By the time we wrapped up, I realized two things. 1. Damon was terrifyingly smart. 2. He was also secretly helping me even if he refused to admit it. As we packed up, I decided to push my luck. Thanks for the notes, I said, slinging my bag over my shoulder. You're not so bad when you're not glaring at me. His steps paused for half a second and I caught the faintest pink on his ears before he muttered, whatever, and walked out. I stood there holding my books, grinning like an idiot. Was it weird that my heart did a little flip just from seeing him slightly embarrassed? Oh, definitely not. The next day when I arrived at class, a folded sheet of paper was on my desk. I opened it and my eyes widened. Check these sources for the project. D.W. I clutched the paper to my chest and whispered to myself, progress. Sweet Tsundere progress. I didn't know it yet, but being Damon Wu's accidental partner was the best thing that could have happened to me. Chapter 4, The First Smile. By the second week of our history project, I was starting to believe in miracles. Not only did Damon Wu, aka the Ice Prince, aka Future Glacier in human form, not murder me for breathing in his direction, but he was actually tolerating me. Maybe tolerating is a strong word. He still responded to 90% of my chatter with silence, 9% with "you're annoying," and 1% with vague grunts. But hey, 1% of grunt-based communication is still progress. That Friday our class was assigned cleaning duty after school. Ugh, this is the worst, Sophie groaned as she waved her broom like a sword. I can't believe we have to clean the hallway. My life is over. You said that about PE class and also about math homework, I said. Both valid reasons, she said dramatically. I glanced at our assignment sheet and felt my stomach flip. Oh. What? I'm partnered with Damon for cleaning the stairwell. Sophie dropped her broom like I just announced my own funeral. Rose. It was nice knowing you. The stairwell was quiet when I arrived, sunlight slanting through the high windows. Damon was already there, mop in hand, looking like he wanted to murder the floor. Hi, I said, cheerful as always. He gave me one short glance, then went back to mopping. I grabbed my own mop and started working beside him. For a while we cleaned in silence. I tried. I really did. But after 3 whole minutes I couldn't take it anymore. So, do you like cleaning? No. Do you like school? No. Do you like puppies? Pause. Then softly, maybe. My eyes widened. Oh my gosh. Damon Wu likes puppies. This is headline news. He sighed, shoulders slumping slightly. You're ridiculous. When I reached to clean the railing, my foot suddenly slipped on the wet floor. Ah. Before I could process what was happening, a firm grip caught my arm and pulled me upright. I gasped, staring up at him. His face was close. Too close. You, he said, voice low, are a disaster. My heart pounded like a drum. Thank you for saving me. For a moment the sunlight caught his profile and I could swear, that the corner of his mouth twitched upward. I froze. Are you smiling? I whispered. His eyes snapped to mine and he immediately looked away. No. You totally were. I grinned. I saw it. Damon Wu has a face that can smile. Shut up, he muttered, ears turning faintly pink. That evening the rumors spread like wildfire. Did you see Damon Wu smile? No way, I thought his face was frozen forever. I heard it was because of the new girl. Sophie grabbed my shoulders at my locker. Rose. What did you do? Almost fell and died? I said sheepishly. You're insane, and I love it, she whispered dramatically. When I got home that night, I flopped onto my bed with my heart still fluttering. I replayed the moment over and over. His hand catching mine, that tiny twitch of his lips. I didn't know why it made my chest feel warm. But I did know one thing. I was in serious danger of liking the Ice Prince. Chapter 5. Festival Chaos. The day of the school festival dawned bright and sunny, and the entire Westbridge Academy campus was buzzing with excitement. Banners flapped in the wind, stalls lined the courtyard, and the smell of cotton candy, grilled skewers and popcorn filled the air. This, I said to Sophie, is the best day of my life. She squinted at me over her lemonade. Rose, you say that every time you see free food. This time I mean it. I grinned, spinning around to take it all in. I've never seen a school festival this big. Back at my old school, we only had a bake sale and some sad karaoke. Well, enjoy it while you can. But, where's your shadow? Sophie asked. Pie what? She pointed behind me. Your grumpy, cold walking snowstorm. Damon Wu. I thought he was glued to you now. I laughed. He's not glued to me. He's probably off reading a book or glaring at people. Classic Damon. As it turned out, I spoke too soon. Our class had decided on a themed cafe booth, and all students were required to take shifts. I had just arrived at our booth, dressed in my frilly apron when Mr. Huang waved me over. Rose. Perfect timing. We're short on helpers. Can you get Damon to join? My brain short-circuited. Wait. You want Damon Wu, in a cafe booth? Yes. He's supposed to do a shift. Go drag him here. I hesitated for 0.3 seconds before sprinting off like a woman on a mission. I found Damon near the back of the library tent, standing in the shade with his arms crossed. He looked utterly uninterested in the festivities. There you are. I said, slightly out of breath. Come on, you have cafe duty. No. I blinked. No. You can't just say no. I just did. I stepped closer, my hands on my hips. Listen, we need more people at the booth and you are a part of this class. So please, for once in your Tsundere life, help us. He stared at me for a long moment. Finally he muttered, fine. But only because you're annoying and won't leave me alone. I grinned. I'll take it. 10 minutes later, the Ice Prince of Westbridge Academy was standing behind a decorated counter wearing a black vest, white shirt and, wait for it, cat ears. I nearly choked on my own laughter. This is the best thing I've ever seen, I whispered. Damon glared at me. Say one word and I walk out. Nope. You look very, professional. Very butler cat chic. I said, trying to keep a straight face. The effect on the customers was immediate. Girls started whispering and squealing. Oh my gosh, is that Damon Wu? He looks so cute. Are those cat ears? Damon's jaw tightened as he handed over a tray of drinks like it was a death sentence. The real chaos happened when one of the other students dared to flirt with me while I served customers. Hey Rose, a senior boy said with a smirk. You look adorable in that apron. Wanna come check out my booth later? Before I could reply, a tall shadow loomed behind me. Order, Damon said flatly, shoving a tray toward the senior. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp enough to cut glass. The boy blinked, startled. Right. Coffee. Thanks. He scurried off. I bit my lip to keep from laughing. Damon, were you just jealous? No, he said immediately, looking away. You totally were. I wasn't. Then why do you look like you wanted to murder him? His ears turned pink. Focus on your job. By the end of the day we were both exhausted. As we cleaned up, I noticed Damon glancing at me a few times. Finally he said quietly, you did well today. I froze, shocked. Wait, was that a compliment? He looked away. Maybe. My heart skipped a beat and I couldn't help the smile that spread across my face. Maybe festivals really were magical. As I was starting to fall for the Ice Prince, cat ears and all. Chapter 6. When the Ice Prince Gets Jealous. If someone had told me that my new hobby at Westbridge Academy would be collecting Damon Wu expressions, I would have laughed. So far my collection included 1. Glare number 1, standard go away look. 2. Glare number 2, slightly squinty you're extra annoying today look. 3. Pink-eared silent look. Rare and valuable, usually occurs after I tease him. But today I unlocked a new expression, one I hadn't seen before. It was called Damon Wu Mildly Murderous Edition. It all started when a certain popular senior named Adrian decided to invade my personal space. "Hey Rose," he said, leaning on my desk with a confident smile. "Are you free after class? We're grabbing milk tea. You should come." I froze, aware of the dozen eyes watching us, and glanced instinctively at the seat in front of me. Damon. He didn't move, but I felt the sudden drop in temperature. His pencil stopped moving. His back straightened ever so slightly. "Oh, thanks," I said awkwardly. "But I already..." "She's busy," a voice interrupted, smooth but sharp. I blinked. Damon had finally turned around, his dark eyes locking onto Adrian like twin daggers. Adrian laughed nervously. "Busy, huh? With what?" Damon's voice was calm, but it had that lethal edge. "With me." My brain short-circuited. The entire class went silent. Adrian raised his hands in surrender. "Right. Got it. Noted." He backed away slowly, like he'd just been warned by a predator. The moment Adrian left, I turned to Damon. What was that?" I whispered. He didn't look at me. "He was bothering you." I could have handled it. He was too close. I stared at him. "Are you jealous?" He stiffened. "No." "Then why did you basically announce to the class that I'm yours?" His ears turned the faintest pink. "I said you were busy. That's all." I leaned forward, grinning. "Damon Wu, are you secretly a possessive boyfriend in disguise?" "Shut up," he muttered, flipping his notebook open. But I could see the pink creeping down his neck. At lunch, Sophie practically exploded with excitement. "I saw that," she squealed. He was like, "She's with me," and I was like, "Ka. Rose, this is straight out of a drama." I buried my face in my hands. "It wasn't like that." "Yes it was," she said, shaking me. "Next thing you know, he's going to start walking you to class, glaring at every guy who looks at you and carrying your bag like a Tsundere husband." I laughed, but a tiny part of me liked that image a little too much. That afternoon I had to visit the library for our project. When I reached the stairs, I noticed Damon leaning against the railing, waiting. You waited for me?" I asked, surprised. He shrugged. "Crowded halls. You're clumsy." I blinked. "Is this your way of saying you want to walk me to the library?" "No," he muttered, starting down the stairs. But his hand brushed mine for half a second and I caught that pink on his ears again. My heart was doing somersaults the entire way. That night, lying in bed, I hugged my pillow and stared at the ceiling. He might deny it all he wanted, but today I had seen it clearly. The Ice Prince was thawing. And maybe he liked me too. Chapter 7. Rainy Day Confession, sort of. Rainy days have always felt a little magical to me. The soft patter of raindrops, the cool air, the smell of wet earth. Perfect for curling up with a blanket and hot chocolate. Except today the only thing curling up was me in misery because I had forgotten my umbrella. I stood at the front doors of Westbridge Academy, staring at the torrential downpour. Students were hurrying off with umbrellas and raincoats, leaving the courtyard a blur of water and gray. "Great," I muttered. "I'm going to look like a drowned cat." Then stopped standing there. I whipped around. Damon Wu was leaning casually against the doorframe, his uniform blazer draped over one shoulder, perfectly dry and composed as always. "Where did you come from?" I asked, startled. "Classroom. Obviously," he said flatly, stepping closer. "You forgot your umbrella." I blinked. "Are you psychic?" "No. I just know you're always unprepared." "Rude." Accurate but rude. Before I could respond, he opened a sleek black umbrella and held it over his shoulder. "Come on," he said. I hesitated. "Are you offering to walk me home?" He looked away, ears faintly pink. "I don't want you catching a cold. That's inconvenient." I grinned. "Inconvenient for who?" He didn't answer, just stepped into the rain, holding the umbrella out for me. Sharing an umbrella with Damon Wu was an experience. We were so close our shoulders brushed and I could feel the warmth of his arm just inches away. The rain poured around us, but under the umbrella, it was quiet. After a few minutes of walking in silence, I couldn't help myself. "So, this is kind of romantic, don't you think?" I teased. He gave me a sidelong glance. "No. You're blushing." "I'm not." "You totally are." Your ears are pink again. He huffed, looking straight ahead. You talk too much. I giggled, tilting my head to watch the raindrops fall off the umbrella's edge. You know, for someone who calls me annoying all the time, you're really nice to me. I'm not nice, he muttered. Then why are you walking me home in the rain? He hesitated. Because his voice trailed off. I leaned in. I'm what? His jaw tightened. Not that annoying anymore. I froze. Did Damon Wu just compliment me? My heart fluttered as we reached my street. Thanks for walking me, I said softly, standing under the awning of my house. You can pretend you didn't if anyone asks. He stared at me for a moment, eyes dark and unreadable. Then he muttered, don't get sick, and turned to leave, umbrella still shielding him from the rain. I watched him disappear into the gray street, a small, giddy smile spreading across my face. It wasn't a full confession. But for Damon Wu, not that annoying, might as well have been, I like you. Chapter 8. Rumors and Distance. High school rumors travel faster than light. By Monday morning, everyone seemed to know about the umbrella incident. I walked into class with Sophie trying to act normal, but the whispers followed me like a shadow. Isn't she the girl Damon walked home in the rain? Sharing an umbrella? That's basically a confession. No way. The Ice Prince doesn't like anyone. I wanted to crawl under my desk. Sophie leaned over and whispered, you're famous. Or infamous. I can't decide. Ugh. I groaned, resting my forehead on the desk. This is bad. People are going to think I don't know, dating him or something. Sophie smirked. And you hate that because? I froze, my cheeks heating up. I never said I hate it. When Damon entered the room, all conversation died like someone hit a mute button. He strode to his seat, expression calm but eyes sharper than usual. He didn't glance at me once. Good morning, I whispered, leaning forward to poke his shoulder. He didn't respond. I frowned. Are you ignoring me? He kept his eyes on the board. Focus on class. The distance continued all week. He stopped waiting for me after school. He didn't meet me in the library for our project, even though we still had to finish our final report. Every time I tried to approach him, he either walked away or gave me curt one-word answers. By Thursday I was ready to explode. Okay, what is your problem? I demanded after cornering him by the vending machines. He paused, a flicker of something in his eyes. Guilt maybe, but his voice was cool. I don't have a problem. Yes you do. You're acting like I'm contagious or something. He didn't answer. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Is it because of the rumors? He stiffened. You're not used to people talking about you, huh? I said softly. His jaw tightened. I don't care what they say about me. But you'll get dragged into it. People will misunderstand. So what? I said, my chest tight. Let them misunderstand. I don't care. He finally looked at me, eyes dark and conflicted. For a second I thought he might say something, anything real. But instead he turned away. I can't. And just like that he walked off, leaving me standing there with a lump in my throat. That night, lying in my bed, I stared at my ceiling, hugging my pillow. I had gotten used to Damon's quiet presence, his rare smiles, his awkward kindness. And now he was gone. It hurt more than I expected. And that's when I realized something scary. I didn't just want to be friends with Damon Wu anymore. I liked him. Maybe even more than that. Chapter 9. The Ice Prince Melts. I didn't think high school hallways could feel so empty until Damon started avoiding me. It had been 3 days since our vending machine confrontation, and every moment without him felt wrong. No one to glare at me in the morning. No silent hands sliding me perfectly written notes. No rare pink-eared glances that made my heart do somersaults. I hated it. Sophie noticed immediately. You're moping, she said at lunch, poking my cheek. This is your moping face. I'm not moping, I said, stabbing my fried rice. You totally are. And it's because Mr. Tall, Dark and Frosty is ignoring you. I sighed. I don't get it. He said he wanted to protect me from rumors, but why does that mean cutting me off completely? Sophie shrugged. Classic Tsundere move. Push away the girl to protect her, then realize he's miserable without her. Trust me, he'll break first. I wanted to believe her. It wasn't until Friday that fate finally intervened. The last bell had rung and rain began pouring again, because of course the weather matched my mood. I didn't even bring an umbrella this time. I just stood under the awning watching students leave, feeling like the last puppy at the adoption center. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Rose. I froze. My heart knew that voice immediately. I turned around. Damon stood there holding his umbrella, uniform slightly damp from running. His usual calm expression was gone, replaced by something rawer. Damon, I stammered. I thought you were avoiding me. He looked away, jaw tight. I was. And it was stupid. I blinked. What? He stepped closer, holding the umbrella so it covered me too. Raindrops pattered around us, enclosing us in our own quiet little world. I thought staying away would keep you safe from gossip. But he hesitated, eyes meeting mine for the first time in days. I hated it. Every second. My breath caught. I don't care what they say anymore, he said, voice low but firm. I don't want to pretend I don't care about you. My heart felt like it was going to burst. Damon. He exhaled shakily, a faint pink rising to his ears. I like you. A lot. Even if you're annoying. I laughed, half teary. You're the worst at confessions. Do you like me back? He asked softly, almost vulnerable. I smiled so wide my cheeks hurt. Of course I do, you idiot. Under the rain, Damon's icy walls finally melted. He didn't kiss me, he was too shy for that, but he reached out and took my hand, holding it tightly under the umbrella. Warm. Steady. And for the first time, walking home in the rain didn't feel cold at all. Chapter 10. Officially yours. Being Damon Wu's, well, I guess girlfriend, was surreal. Not because he suddenly turned into some cheesy hand-holding heart-eyes boyfriend overnight. Oh no. He was still Damon Wu, the Ice Prince of Westbridge Academy, expert in glaring and pretending feelings didn't exist. But now, there were little changes only I got to see. Change number 1, he actually waited for me every morning. On Monday I stepped through the school gates to find Damon leaning casually against the fence, hands in his pockets. You're late, he said flatly. I checked my watch. It's literally 7:45. School starts at 8. Late for me, he muttered. I grinned. Wow, is this what a boyfriend sounds like? He gave me a look. Do you ever stop talking? Nope, I said, skipping along beside him. Change number 2, he got possessive. In his own Tsundere way. When a classmate asked me for help with homework after class, Damon silently appeared at my side, looming like a silent bodyguard. She's busy, he said coolly, taking my books. I blinked. I didn't say I was busy. You are now. He started walking and I had to run to catch up. Damon Wu, I said laughing, you're so obvious. His ears turned pink. Shut up. Change number 3, he smiled. It was rare. It was small. But it was there. Like that Friday after school when we sat on the bleachers, watching the sunset paint the campus in gold and pink. You're quiet today, I said, nudging him. Enjoying the peace before you start talking again, he replied, deadpan. I rolled my eyes and leaned back, letting the wind brush through my hair. You know, I used to think you hated me. I did, he said immediately. Wow, thanks. I mean, he hesitated. I thought I did. But you just wouldn't go away. I turned my head to look at him. His profile was calm, but his hand inched closer to mine on the bench until our fingers brushed. I'm glad you didn't, he said quietly. My heart melted like ice cream in July. On our way home, the sky turned a soft indigo and the streetlights flickered on. Damon walked with my hand firmly in his, ignoring the curious looks from a few students who spotted us. People are staring, I whispered. Let them, he said, his voice steady. You're mine. My cheeks burned, but I couldn't stop the smile spreading across my face. When I flopped onto my bed that night, I hugged my pillow and thought about the last few weeks. The cold, unreachable Ice Prince of Westbridge Academy. The boy who called me annoying more times than I could count. The boy who once refused to even lend me a pen. Now he was Damon. My Damon. And I couldn't wait for all the little moments to come. Epilogue. The Ice Prince's Secret. 3 months into dating Damon Wu, I'd learned 2 very important things. 1. He's still at Tsundere. 2. He's hopelessly, secretly soft for me. Take today for example. Westbridge Academy's spring fair was in full swing, and our class was manning a booth again. Last time, Damon had been forced into cat ears. This time I made a very bold request. Wear this, I said, holding up a cute bunny headband. Damon stared at it like it was a venomous snake. No. Please. I pouted, tilting my head. No. I leaned closer. Pretty please. He sighed, looking skyward as if questioning all his life choices. You're impossible. 5 minutes later, the Ice Prince of Westbridge Academy was wearing a bunny headband, glaring at customers while holding a tray of juice cups. The squeals of the passing students were deafening. He's so cute. I can't believe Damon Wu agreed to that. True love changes people. Damon muttered under his breath. I hate this. I beamed. You look adorable. He glanced at me and the corner of his mouth twitched upward. My favorite little secret smile. I only did this for you. My heart did a little backflip. Later that day, when the fair was winding down, we snuck up to the rooftop to watch the sunset. The wind was cool, carrying the smell of flowers, and the campus below was glowing in orange light. You know, I said, leaning on the railing, a year ago I never thought I'd end up here with you. He slipped his hand into mine, warm and sure. A year ago I wouldn't have let anyone get this close. I squeezed his hand. So what changed? He looked at me, eyes soft in the fading sunlight. You. I blinked, my chest tightening in the best way. That's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me. Don't get used to it, he said, ears faintly pink. I laughed and leaned my head on his shoulder, feeling his quiet warmth. Maybe the world still saw him as the untouchable Ice Prince. But up here under the sunset with his hand in mine, he was just my Damon. And I wouldn't trade that for anything.